We know who the new pope is.
Yep.
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
secret knowledge.
Ask and I will answer.
Father Roni, welcome.
Father Roni, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Feeding Fathers, Qurban Media. How do you feel?
Good.
Yeah.
Good, man. Welcome. Here's our dear brother.
For those who don't know you, who are you?
Yeah, I'm Father Roni.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Anyway,
What else?
yeah, that's good.
Mema Mecca Catholic.
That's about all we know too.
He's a man of mystery.
Who are you?
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Germany. Yeah, I lived there for like almost 12 years. Before that, I lived in Greece for almost 3 years.
Oh, there we go.
And then before that in Iraq.
Okay.
Iraq.
And then after that,
Iraq.
in San Diego,
Yeah, San Diego.
at the seminary.
Yeah.
Seminary of Marabba. What
Yeah.
year did you enter?
2013.
And you were ordained when?
2021.
Okay.
Do you remember when he entered?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember all
Wait,
of
there's
that.
a story behind it?
I remember
A random guy from Germany wants to join?
It was Neshwathe. His relatives came and talked to me. They're like, "Oh, there's this guy, whatever." And I talked to Bishop Serhat about it, and he's like, "Okay." And so we shipped him over,
Yeah.
and then the rest is
Thank you.
history,
Okay.
infamous history.
Thank you.
What should we do for clickbait today? Should we talk about the conclave? That's what everybody's talking about. That's the hot topic.
That could at least be a thumbnail or something.
Yeah.
We know who the new pope is.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have secret knowledge. Jesus appeared to me in a dream and told me. that
Cardinal Sarah told us.
Yep.
I guess his name is pronounced Sarah.
Sarah. I am so annoyed of people like, I get it, care about it, pray for it. It's a big important thing. You think
Speculation.
learning
right?
about
Yeah.
every single cardinal and whatever and what are they and this and that and posting and I'm going to post this cardinal on my Instagram and like why?
I know.
You're making yourself anxious for no reason. Just whatever happens. Pray and then leave the rest to God.
You know what's interesting about the church is a lot of the things that happen are really unpredictable.
Yeah. Who predicted Pope Francis?
Yeah.
Name one person that predicted
Yeah.
he would be Pope. How many people predicted Pope Benedict? He was a well-known figure. He was the head of the CDF and stuff.
He didn't think he was going to get it, that's for sure.
Well, he was very popular. He was probably
He
much
was
more
CDF
popular
guy.
than Francis. because
Popular, but
he
also
was a
hated by
prefect.
some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
And
John
then-
Paul II, I don't think anybody had any
No.
idea who he was when he was
Voitiva.
elected.
Yeah.
At least Benedict gave the homily for John Paul II. That's what got him elected. The homily that he gave.
Really?
Yeah, the homily that he gave at John Paul II's funeral.
Oh.
They were very impressed by it.
What
the
do you know
cardinals.
about Pope Benedict?
He wrote his
I'm
dissertation.
joking,
man.
guys. Come on.
Everything.
I know about Benedict because of him.
Well, he was
'Cause I-
German.
And he was German. Wow.
Have you read his books?
Always.
In
Have
German,
you-
right?
No, in English.
Oh.
Well, I mean, most of the books I have, they are in English. So,
So
but I do listen like on YouTube. Some homilies of him. Or
When will this
lectures
drop?
or something.
this episode, a couple days.
Thursday.
Thursday.
We won't have a Pope yet. I don't think the conclave will have started yet.
They said May 7th, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
May
it's like-
7th. 15 days after. 15 days must elapse after the Pope
There's an
is
intent.
dead.
Is that the law?
According to the Apostolic Constitution, Universi
Dominici Gregis. I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Okay, how is it pronounced? Gregis.
Gregis.
Great.
What did I
Gregis.
say? Gergis?
Does it become a J in the middle of a word?
Before it
Greg.
becomes
Before
a J
vowel?
before E and I
Best
and the diphthongs.
Best way. You're a diphthong. Diphthong is two vowels in a row. I'm not calling them a bad word. It's the season of the resurrection.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Brings us a lot of hope. Brings us a lot of clarity, especially in the Church of the East, where we celebrate Chosha B'Chatha, where we celebrated.
I love
new
Chosha
Sunday.
B'Chatha, man. In all seriousness, not even like being like controversial about the other possible names for it and stuff like that. I really
I don't know what you mean by that.
So there's a kind of competition of what Chaldeans or people from the Church of these traditions, how are they going to focus on it? In our tradition, it's Chosha B'Chatha, which has a lot of meaning. There's a Polish devotion called Divine Mercy Sunday that John Paul II popularized. It kind of has, in some cases, taken more attention than Khoshab. But Khoshab Khatha is such an interesting kind of beautiful thing.
You know what I like about it? Going through the chaos of Easter and celebrating a bunch of masses, and it's a really hectic week, for us priests. It's like an extension of that, but without the chaos. It's something still very solemn for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
It's beautiful liturgies, but not like 7 in a day.
Yeah.
We should translate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Choshab B'chat is New Sunday.
New Sunday.
Why could
Because it's a translation.
Yeah. Wait, one time, sorry.
Go ahead.
One time we were in philosophy of God. What class were we in with you? For no reason, Father Andy said incarnation. Then he's like, why did I just put it in?
I said that?
It was the funniest thing because you were on a roll. And you said incarnation.
I know that there was
Because
a
he's a Gnostic. That's why.
No, the opposite. The place I remember that is in one of the translations of the Mass. We bless your incarnate word, and whoever did that original translation, put incarnate in quotes.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
Okay,
it wasn't me, man. Come on.
Sorry, I'm
all about the
sorry.
incarnation.
This is a formal apology. To you.
New Sunday means the ground level kind of concrete meaning is when people are baptized on the Easter Vigil, which is the day that at the end of Lent, people would be preparing during Lent to be baptized. Adults would be baptized. On Easter Vigil, they would be clothed with white garments, and they would keep those garments on the whole week. And then on the Sunday after Easter, they would change their clothes into normal clothes. And there's a onitha that's attributed to Shimon Bar Sabai, Apin Shalhiton, where he's saying, if he's the author of it, he's saying, you who are baptized, even though you're taking off these outer garments, don't forget that when you were baptized, you were given an inner garment, an inner stole of Christ, of putting on Christ. And so no matter what happens to you, all the battles that happen in life, don't forget that you're wearing this armor.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with the understanding or doctrine of an indelible mark at baptism?
Yeah, sure. He's saying you
and did that come after? That's what I'm asking.
Maybe the terminology did. But I think the idea that, no, it's before... Council of Nicaea.
Are we talking about Nicaea? Yeah, that's what
because Council of Nicaea said there's one baptism. So once you're baptized, you're baptized.
Yeah.
You don't get rebaptized no matter what sin you commit. Your baptism is still what it is. So I think that's before, because Shimon Bar Sabai is 340s.
325 was Nicaea, right?
Nicaea, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I might be referring to that.
But we didn't even have Nicaea until, 410 or so? So he probably wouldn't have known about Nicaea, but it says that I think the idea that baptism is an indelible mark is implied universally.
We didn't formally, on paper, acknowledge it until 410. But I think it was a huge council. I think the word would have gotten to us. Yeah.
Acknowledge what?
Nicaea,
okay.
So it was in 410 of the Synod of Isaac that Nicaea was explicitly acknowledged formally. It's not because we didn't before that. We just didn't have any synods during the times of persecution to do that or not.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I thought it just took that long to travel, get to us.
Because during those persecutions during the 4th century, we didn't have church buildings that could stay up.
Yeah.
And I think that the Council of Isaac begins with Nicaea, Synod? Right?
Yeah.
The Synod of Isaac, begins with the Council of Nicaea.
I think so. You would know that stuff better. So anyway, so the Choshab B'chatha thing, they take off their clothes, now they can wear regular clothes. Yeah. But the whole idea of it is Christ is renewing the entire human race through the resurrection. We are a new being now. We're not whatever we used to be. And through the power of the resurrection, we're capable of this new transformation. And the gospel readings are, Christ breathed on them and he said, receive the Holy Spirit. And so that's a new creation, because as God breathed into Adam's nostrils and gave him life, Christ is breathing to the disciples and giving them new life after the death of sin that humanity had fallen into. Yeah. Now we can resurrect from that second death.
Yeah. A beautiful way that's expressed is, it's really cool. At baptism, you have these babies wearing white, and at a funeral, you have a white sort of cloth on the casket.
Nice.
Where, we follow
that's good.
Pauline theology. You're born with Christ and you die with Christ.
I like that.
And
there's
an
old practice. I don't know. A lot of people here at St. John's, they still do it actually. But
they put on new ones.
Yeah, they bring the kids in normal clothes and then they put on the white dress after the baptism.
I see that sometimes.
But that gets annoying sometimes, man. Because they have these massive what do you call them?
They dress them up as
Gowns.
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 Have you seen the ones that dress like the Pope?
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that one.
I love those
I
guys,
think that's cute.
man. I
They have
love
a
those
miter.
guys,
I
Yeah.
know, whatever. Because it's a priesthood. They're sharing the priesthood of all the faithful.
You know what never fails? Every time I go in for a miron, I always get these babies grabbing onto my beard, man. Has that happened to you?
I did one where you put your hand over the kid while you're saying the prayer, and this kid just went and he just slapped my hand. Like
I saw the
this.
video.
Give me a high five.
That's amazing. That's the best.
It's like, you got this, man. You're doing great, bud.
Yeah. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
The gowns sometimes are like 4 times the size of the kid. Without exaggeration. They're like 3 feet long.
Yeah, and they tell me, Father, please hold him for a picture. How?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Do you know how many? Yeah, where is he? Do you know how many pictures I have holding a kid like this?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
What about you, Father Roni?
No, but the alb we wear
Oh, the priestly alb
priest,
is also
yeah.
white, yeah? The word alb means white.
is
Yeah.
connected to the maybe like the new creation to the
Yeah,
baptism.
maybe.
How about let me give you some pushback? I have an alb that's like a cream color. Should I throw it away?
Maybe yes, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alb means white. How dare you?
It's a very nice alb.
I'll take it if you want.
What do they call that? Off-white?
Off-white, yeah. Eggshell.
What did I say?
Beige?
You said beige.
It's beige. I don't know.
I
I know
beige,
colors.
beige is fine, but
I don't think I said beige. Did I say beige? Anyone in the back?
Whatever you said.
Oh, I said cream.
Cream.
They just confirmed.
You know what I
Thank you
really
so
think?
much.
I think you could do a survey of all men and all women in the world. Women have so many more names for colors than men have. Men, I think we have like 4 colors. It's like red and green and blue and like black.
What?
Women have like that's like
Yeah.
they'll name it after animals. Like there's one that's salmon,
There was
crimson.
crimson. Yeah, and it's like awesome. Like I appreciate that, but I just don't know.
So
those.
I guess there's also a name. I heard this from one of our youth leaders. There's also a name for the colors of the spring season. I forgot what she said, but she mentioned it in passing as if I would have understood and known. I'm like, wait, let's go back a few chapters.
For
What
the-
did
for
you
a
just
set of
say?
colors?
Yes, for spring colors specifically.
Comment in the
Wait,
yeah.
Can you guess what color that wall is?
turquoise.
Yeah. No, but you go to Home Depot, what color is the wall? Because there's a lot of blues.
Yeah, it's blue.
It's blue night.
Anyway,
So I have a question. The week after resurrection, Easter, the mass. How should the mass be celebrated? Like a daily mass, or because
I think
Sunday,
also
I
saw both.
Sunday, man.
Oh, you're talking about during the week.
during the week?
So
Thursday.
in the prayers in the Hudra, every day is a Sunday between Easter and Chosha B'Chatha. You pray Sunday morning prayer and Sunday evening prayer. That's what's there in the book. Some parishes might not do that, but we were doing it at St. Peter's. It was nice. So you pray the whole long. You guys are doing it too, right?
Yeah.
The longer Sunday prayer every single day. Theoretically, I suppose that would mean Mass is celebrated that way too. But on a parish level, it's kind of impractical to do that.
Yeah.
You when you have 10 people at Mass and you want
Yeah,
to do all
okay.
the big Sunday stuff.
But the readings, the gospel readings, also
There's gospel reading set for every day.
Yeah, okay.
I chanted the gospel, the daily gospel. I mean, I didn't celebrate a high mass
Yeah.
every day for a
But
week,
with the
week
Sunday
of
tone?
weeks, but I did it with the Sunday
Yeah,
tone.
that's great.
Okay.
That's a great way to do that.
Just as a nod to
Yeah.
Shabbat Shabbat.
I like that. At least you can keep a little bit of a
Yeah.
hint of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So that's like, I mean, the Roman Church has a kind of a parallel thing where they have the Easter octave,
Octave,
right?
right?
But they also have them for Christmas. We don't have anything like that for Christmas.
Because after Christmas, there's a bunch of little memorials. Like there's the memorial of Our Lady immediately the day after Christmas, the memorial of like the Holy Innocents and stuff like that. So it's kind of like packed with stuff like that because we have to get all that done before Epiphany.
Yeah.
We have to sort of commemorate all of Jesus's childhood because Epiphany for us is the baptism.
Yeah.
Whereas for the Roman rite, it's the Magi.
Yeah.
So they sort of have more breathing room.
Yeah. And I think for them, Christmas extends beyond Epiphany, doesn't it? In the traditional calendar?
I don't know, but I did notice at Holy Martyrs, where I have the mission, the Marnarse mission, it's an Anglican ordinariate mass. They had their Christmas tree up until, honestly, it felt like almost to Lent.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because of that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And so that's why they can have an octave. It's 8 days because that season is so long. Ours
is
is
long.
only, ours Christmas ends at Epiphany.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you smiling about? There's something.
No, nothing. Just, I wish Father Simon was here to to be the one to handle the
Oh,
Google
you're
talk.
just taking a spot. You're cracking up. That's what it is.
The Google
Yeah, you're just
Is that
giggling
what
like
this
5
chair
seconds.
does?
Yeah,
what it
it causes
does,
you to laugh.
This is what he does. He starts here and then he starts shaking like this.
Is he going to chill in Rome?
Yeah, I think so. I have no idea.
He's hoping he gets elected pope. I think that's why he's staying.
Father Simon?
Yeah. Inshallah, man. That'll be
I
the
wish
best.
him that. Yeah.
I'll be so
I
happy.
hope he will stay
Or
a couple more days.
Papa Roni?
Pope Roni the First.
What would be your
Why
name
not?
if you became Pope?
Benedict.
Hello.
Why not?
After the German
Actually, maybe Narse.
Pope Narse.
Yeah, why not?
Someone watched the last episode.
I didn't.
Look into the camera right now.
I really.
And really,
I only watch the ones that I'm in and only my parts. I'm not quite that much of a narcissist, no. Yani.
What's your favorite reading during the Easter season?
what
Gospel
do you mean?
reading.
Gospel. Because there could be a lot of readings, brother.
Sunday gospel reading.
Oh, I like the one for this Sunday. Sunday of the Resurrection. Gospel of John, yeah. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. I know you're not a big fan of...
I'm not a big fan of preaching on
the
John's gospel. Don't say that I'm not a fan of
You
John's
didn't
gospel.
let me finish.
No, because I know what you... Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to
You were
stop
going to
talking.
say, though, you're not a fan of John's gospel.
I was going to
See,
say
you
that.
were
gonna say that.
I was,
See?
okay.
He saw that coming
Okay,
too.
thank you guys so much.
I heard your thoughts.
You guys
before
are very good
before you
friends.
broke
He,
up.
Yeah. Thank you.
I really have
We're
so
over here
much trouble.
preaching to people to not judge, and here we are. Here we are, guys.
Pray for us. We're
I will.
sinners. For I am a sinful man.
Defend me something.
You like that, huh? Believe
Yeah.
in God, believe in also me? What is it that strikes you most about it? So I can get material for my own life.
Well, I had to wrestle with this a few years back because I was saying to myself, why is Jesus referring to himself and God in a sort of separate way? And I went down that rabbit hole, and then I came to understand even more that when Christ there, he's talking about the heart being troubled and believing in him, believing also in God. He doesn't want to elevate the mind to a confusing state of, oh, but I also am God, and get into that. But it really showed me, at least my interpretation of it, how simplified he was making it for the audience. You
Okay.
know, because what complicates the heart is complex things and us overthinking things. When Jesus is directly commanding, let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me, period. It could be that simple. When
He doesn't want to freak us out with like, oh, by
Yeah.
the way, there's 3 persons and then
Yeah,
3
yeah.
hands, 2 natures. And,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's good. I like that. What's yours?
Mine is actually the Chosha B'Chatha
Yeah,
gospel.
me too.
And specifically the Jesus breathing the Holy Spirit on the apostles, because that ties in so much of the Bible, the beginning, like you
Yep.
mentioned that. And then
Yep.
Ezekiel has that prophecy. That was the first gospel I preached on, by the way, as a priest. New Sunday. It was my first mass.
Because you were ordained the Friday before that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mine was a daily mass.
Yeah. Mine was
It was a
the Sunday after
Thursday?
Feast of St. Thomas. It was a Saturday. I was ordained on a Saturday. I don't remember. It was 21 years ago. 22 years ago almost. Oh my gosh. Old man. Wait. What year is it? No, 21 years ago almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have to call my sister and ask her how old I am. I'm not good with remembering numbers and stuff.
When was your first mass?
My first mass was
The next day,
the
daily,
day-
right?
No, the same day.
What do you mean this?
Oh, you said the Saturday Mass maybe?
No, I was ordained in the morning.
Yeah.
My first mass was in
That's
the
right. You were morning
evening,
ordination.
yeah.
Who was the priest with you?
Was it you, right? You were yeah.
That's cute, man.
And I love the gospel that I read.
What was it?
The
5 hours later.
the guy who comes to Jesus.
A lot of people
And he asked him,
oh,
like, to-
Zacchaeus maybe.
No, he
Oh.
asked him about to heal like his servant.
Oh, okay.
the
yeah, yeah.
centurion.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be hilarious if there was 5 hours later. Then he
You
said
guys know
that
what to
in
do?
between.
I like last Sunday's reading too. And this last Sunday is also the doubting Thomas, like, unless I put my hands in the side and my finger in the hole in his head.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
I actually have a question for you specifically.
Okay.
St. Thomas traveled to Asia Minor, traveled to Mesopotamia, traveled to India. But there's been this whole discussion of who came to essentially the Church of the East, what we know now to be the Church of the East. Mar Adde, St. Thomas, who was it? Who came and preached to us? Because I've heard a lot of different things, and I think a lot of people get confused, whether they think they have to choose between one of them, or it was both, or they had a different way of evangelizing.
I think when we're talking about that period, we are talking about a period of some uncertainty. As if we're going to be very, very heavily critically historical, what do we actually know for a fact that we can solidify with documents? There's not a lot from that time. So we have to rely on things that came a century or 2 centuries later to kind of project backwards. It's not like the New Testament was written in the first century, a lot of it, probably all of it, in the first century. We don't have a document that says like in, that says Peter went to Rome or Paul went to Rome or whatever from the time itself. So what we can sort of see backwards based on later document, and the reason why we don't have documentation is because of lack of organization, persecution.
Scribes too.
Maybe lack of scribes in some cases. So we have certain legends that are fairly early. No, I don't want to call them legends, sorry. I take that word back. Because legends can kind of imply that it's not true. We have certain documents that say the account of Abgar of Edessa writing letters to Jesus, and Jesus writing a letter back to him about his healing and stuff like that. And he says, I will send you a disciple, and the disciple is Mar Adde, is Jude Thaddeus. And other documents saying, okay, there's Mari was there with Mar Adde. Other documents saying St. Thomas went and preached on his way to India through, as you said, Turkey and Mesopotamia and ending up in India. What is it that actually happened? It's really hard to sort of be 100% certain about this. Some accounts seem to say that Adde and Mari were disciples of Thomas. Other accounts
and Mari was a disciple of Adde.
Something like that. But then Adde seems like he's one of the 12. So how can he be a disciple of Thomas if he was one of the 12 apostles?
Or the 70 disciples.
Or one of the 70, which is also a direct disciple of Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's lots of stuff to kind of balance and make sense of. When was it written? What are the things that are surrounding it?
Okay.
Why is this author saying this? To me, it doesn't matter. Thank God Christianity got to us, and we're believers in
at the end of
Christ.
the day,
At
that's
the end
all
of the
that
day,
matters.
that's the important thing. Yeah. People really get anxiety about this stuff. Like,
interesting,
why?
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
It's very clear though, like the Mesopotamian church has apostolic roots.
Yeah.
And it's kind of its own distinct identity. Well, because a lot of people say like, oh, it came out of another church, like the Antiochian church. It came out of the Antiochian tradition.
I have seen zero evidence
You remember
for
that, right?
Yeah. One of our professors is
really?
hardcore on there, and we're like, where?
Yeah.
At what point ever in the history of the Church of the East did the Church of the East indicate, or did any historical thing indicate that it was a branch of Antioch? I've never seen that document in my life.
Yeah.
That the Church of the East understood itself as a branch of Antioch, or that Antioch understood the Church of the East as a branch of itself.
Yeah, vice versa, yeah.
I've never seen that in my life in any ancient thing. When people get, I don't want to say lazy, but when people get in an organizing mood and they just want to kind of group churches together, and there's the Latin churches and the Greek churches and the Syriac churches. Yeah. Okay, you're grouping things together according to language. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that one came from the other. It was just they just happened to use the same liturgical dialect of Aramaic. It doesn't. Now, part of this sort of temptation, I think, to collapse into that thought process is because Antioch is further west. It is mentioned in the Acts of the Apostles that Peter went to Antioch, and so there's indicators that they received the gospel first because they were closer to Jerusalem and within the Roman Empire. And so it would have been easier to travel there. All that's fine.
And Mark went to Alexandria. Right?
That's the tradition says that. All that's great. But just because somebody may have had to pass through Alexandria on his way to Mesopotamia
Yeah.
doesn't mean that the church in the Church of the East was the result of missionary work from Antioch. That requires its own evidence, which I have yet to see.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and certainly by the time of the Synod of Isaac, there's already how many bishops? 40 bishops or something
Yeah.
that are signing. There's already 40 bishops around at the first synod that Marutha, who came from Antioch, he was a bishop that came from Antioch to sort of like, here's what happened in the West, in Nicaea, here's some updates on theology, on the Trinity. That wasn't the beginning of a church.
Mhm.
There's already 40 bishops after a persecution. How many were killed during the persecution and you still have 40 left?
But he still did contribute to the liturgy
Absolutely.
of the Church of the East.
There's no apostolic church that is just like, we're our own thing and we don't care what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
That shouldn't exist in Christianity,
Yeah.
you know? But that doesn't mean that it's caused by it.
Yeah.
That there's some input and, oh, this is cool. The petitions we're going to say in this way. The Mass we're going to celebrate in this way. Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, I have a question for you. When you lived in Germany, did you have were you exposed to any liturgy from the Chaldean Church, or until you got here you started to get more involved and you would understand more that we had our own liturgy and Mass and office?
Yeah, we had a mission and a
you
Chaldean
were?
priest.
Where you were?
Yeah.
What was the name of the city?
Augsburg.
Is there still a mission there?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's there,
Comment below if you're writing from Germany.
It's close to Munich,
Right.
But yeah, we had a priest coming every Sunday, celebrating Mass, and then that's it. But yeah,
Surath?
yeah, in Chaldean, yeah.
And German?
No, just Chaldean.
Oh.
I think Arabic too, if I remember.
Probably
I'm
now
not
they've
sure.
got some German translations of the Mass.
Because I know in
Maybe.
France.
Oh, yeah.
They have
They
full
do.
French liturgies
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in the Chaldean
Yeah.
liturgy.
Those
Maybe
European missions, man, that must be rough as a priest to run those because you have to travel really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And to be honest,
Yeah.
a lot of those missions are booming in Europe.
Oh, yeah. I heard
Right.
France, there's a lot.
France, there's a lot, and there's a lot of youth.
Oh, good.
There's
God
a
bless
lot
you.
Just
of
ordered-
youth.
God bless you guys if you're
Yeah.
watching. from France.
Recently, they just ordained their first French-born Chaldean priest.
Khalil
Yeah,
Bey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
He's a young
amazing.
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's very
great.
cool.
Do we have an Australian born yet?
Mm,
I don't think we have a Canadian
know.
born.
no.
We have a bunch of American born.
Australia? No.
Not yet. Inshallah, they have one soon. Oh, that's-
Canadian born.
Who?
Oh, Mark.
He's not
No,
Canadian
he's-
born.
Yeah.
Is
Where
he?
was he
In
born?
Greece, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. His
Oh, that's
baptism
right.
is about the same church as you.
Yeah. Haramat. I'm joking.
Pray for Mark Odish and Brother Augustine,
Why?
who are being ordained deacons a week after this episode airs on May 8th,
Congratulations
6
to the both
p.m.
of you.
Yeah, man. We got one of the monks and a seminarian.
Wow,
Teamwork.
unite.
Yep. And then the two of them and Shemasha Salah will be ordained priests on the Feast of Our Lady, September 8th.
Okay.
You know what's cool about that?
Yeah.
And this certainly wasn't done intentionally,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the day that Brother Augustine also took final vows.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
No way.
Cute, man.
Yeah. September 8th.
All right. I like that.
Win for the Holy Spirit right there.
3 new priests in our diocese, man.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Army. God bless them. Pray for them, please. Pray for vocations too.
Yeah.
Nice.
What else, Father Roni?
Ask and I will answer. So I'll have a question. So how would you justify the fact that we have in Iraq all of a sudden like multiple liturgies or rites?
So
like,
yes. So early on, you do have bishops, both of the Church of the East and of what they were calling at the time the Jacobite Church. What's now we would call the Syriac
Orthodox?
Oriental Orthodox Church had like dioceses and bishops, and in fact, Bar Hebraeus was one of them that was living in Mesopotamia, east of the Euphrates River, and there were some villages that were historically mostly members of that church, not the Church of the East.
Hmm.
Tikrit, I think, was one of them actually. and
Kirkuk too.
Kirkuk,
Tikrit, yeah.
and a couple of others that historically, for many, many centuries, they were just more of the people were a part of that church. Yeah. So that's been around for a while. It's like we're talking pretty early on. Yeah. And they didn't like each other. They were big enemies. And you actually have, I think maybe the 8th or 9th centuries, you have 3 groups in Mesopotamia arguing with each other. You have the quote unquote the Nestorians, the Jacobites, and the Chalcedonians. And they're all arguing about who's the right church and stuff like that, like kind of with each other. And they're also arguing mostly for favor with the empire, the Arab caliph, who he's going to show favor to. And most of the time it was the Church of the East patriarch who was given more favor. And that's why historically it's the patriarch of the Church of the East who sort of is seen as the representative of all the Christians of now Iraq.
Oh.
Yeah. It goes all the way back to the kind of Abbasid time. That's an interesting thing.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Which now is we have 3 patriarchs of the branches of the Church of the East, so I'll let them discuss that between them.
Yeah, because we never had a Christian kingdom that
Ever.
like Constantinople had. Constantine.
What do they call that? Christendom?
Yeah. We never had that.
Christendom, and then Europe had Rome.
Yep. Yeah, we never had that.
Let's start it.
So in the West, there were a lot more rites that were kind of solidified under Latin, right?
I know of the Ambrosian rite.
Yeah, there's the Ambrosian rite. I think the Spaniards had their own rite.
I know the Dominicans had their own ritual system.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's another one too. Was it Franciscans that had their own liturgy as well? A lot of these were suppressed by the Second Vatican Council and all of the
was the Second Vatican
Latin
Council?
Church. Yeah, it was pretty late.
Ambrose, maybe?
And some of them were left to
It was Corsican.
Yeah. So some of them you can still say them in like one church in some part of Europe, but a lot of them were suppressed at the council. Yeah.
I'm just a little surprised, this is all very theoretical, but that the church, Latin was spread everywhere in the West through the church, instead of incorporating the local culture and tradition
vernacular.
and the language. Yeah. It was that the Latin West went all over Europe.
I think there's a couple of possible reasons for that. I'm not sure there's a heavy theological reason. Some people might argue that, it's kind of the language of the church. I don't want to give an opinion on that. I don't think the church is
I've
just
heard
that.
that so many times.
But because I don't think that's not the church, and it's not the language of our church at all in any sense. And Greek was the language of the New Testament and of the early councils. And Aramaic was the language of Jesus Christ. So I think the sort of Latin it's a very exaggerated kind of understanding and very narrow understanding of what the church is. I think the use of Latin as the spread of Latin rather than the use of the vernacular probably is the result of a kind of empire understanding. It's kind of a result of Christendom. Now, that being said, I actually think our church was guilty of that at some point. Later on, first of all, because Syriac was actually probably never the vernacular in Mesopotamia. I don't think our people ever spoke Gushma, which is the dialect of Edessa, and yet the liturgy was always in that. So that's one piece there. So the idea of a liturgical language is not necessarily this empire mentality. It's like, this is just the holy language that we're going to use wherever you are. However, even later on, there were some of our bishops that showed resistance to translating even the scriptures into Arabic when it was really needed for preaching to the Arabs. And you kind of wonder how strong Islam would have been if we would have been more open to that as a church. And now there's the Arabic Bible, and now we can use it for preaching in Arabic to these tribes. You never know what happened. You know what I mean?
I've seen some correspondence when I was doing some research for my dissertation. There are manuscripts that were written by our old patriarchs in Aramaic to Rome. That was beautiful.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
And that means Rome would have had to have somebody translate there.
But then I also saw it in French and Latin too. So
there's this really interesting document. I'm sure you've seen it. I have a PDF of it, of a Chaldean bishop in the 1870s compiling all kinds of evidence from the history of the Church of the East that the Church of the East considered Rome the primary see.
Yeah.
And I forgot the name of this bishop, but he presented it. I think he was supposed to present it at the First Vatican Council or something like that. Anyway, the reason I thought about that document, it's still around. It's still like floating around. It was written in Latin.
He wrote it in Latin?
And he wrote it because that was just the language of the educated man in Europe at the time, and the language that people would speak in the church at the time. So you get these, it's really funny, you see, and there's these like, it's written in Syriac, like what Narse or somebody said, and then he has a Latin translation of it so that the bishops can understand it.
Nice.
And it's all this evidence that the Church of the East would have considered Rome the primary see.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a guy who started translating that. I don't know how far it got into it.
That was cool.
Yeah. Marbawi has a lot to say about that too. Marbawi wrote a lot about the primacy of the See of Peter, even in the tradition of the Church of the East. His book, the Church of the East, One Holy Apostolic and Catholic or something like that, has a lot of that documented in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are we eating today? Is it a surprise?
Yeah, tacos. Mike's Red.
What's that?
Tacos. It was very good.
Is it here? Hey, is the food here? Where's this from?
Mike's Red Taco. Thank you to Mike and Dylan.
Red taco. Oh, it's red from the Birria juice.
Father Roni, what was your favorite food in Germany?
That's a hard question. This is maybe the most difficult question I've ever asked.
Forever.
But you didn't ask
I don't like
it.
to
I
answer
did.
this question.
Germany has good food, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why are you so mad? What did I say?
No, but like flavor, like I have to choose my like the secret. No. I don't know. I don't have favorite anymore. I maybe used to have. I used to be maybe picky, but not anymore. So
Did I say something wrong?
no, I'm answering really. So
Sausages. How are German
but not
sausages?
like my favorite ever. You know, like always I can have it every day.
Is it true that every village in Germany has its own style of sausage?
Yeah, that's true.
Bishop Shalita said that.
Yeah, many kinds. Every city has its own kinds of sausages.
So you're just not going to answer.
My favorite food? I don't know.
Okay. It's nice talking.
What's your yours is pacha?
No, I'm talking about Germany.
Oh,
Anyway.
Palette Patch of Germany.
What's your favorite food?
I don't know.
From Germany?
Yeah. If it's so easy to answer this.
Sausage.
Yeah.
Which is the same as your favorite Chaldean food, which is bombada, which is basically sausage.
Yeah.
See you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Stuffed sausages.
This is really good.
It's very,
Very good.
Where's this place?
I think there's two locations. One somewhere San Diego, the other one also somewhere in San Diego. But yeah, I have no idea. But I'm sure they'll put the address and description right here.
That's good.
Any other questions you want to embarrass me with?
What's your favorite food in Germany?
Apparently it's a sensitive topic.
No.
No, it's fine.
أنا كده مرتاح ما فكرتي.
Somebody on Twitter was saying it was one of these really kind of vaguely racist, dudes on Twitter, and there's like more of those lately. And he was like, yeah, one of the signs of a true noble civilization and the one that has accepted Christ, I don't know how he even made this connection, is that their food is superior. And then me and a bunch of other people were like, wait, so Thailand is like the best? Like we have to all convert to whatever religion that is. Because he was saying, oh, European food is so much better. And I like some European food, but like you're going to make a universal statement like that about food.
And why is he so mad?
And one of the guys that agreed with me, I don't even know if he saw mine and I saw his tweet, but Ed Fieser, he's a philosopher, and there's nobody in the world who was going to call Ed Fieser a liberal. And Ed Fieser was like, no, that means Thailand is the best. Has the best religion. This guy right here.
That's a whole different world in Thailand, on X, right? Twitter.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be. What are you going to do?
Plus, like, liberals actually have the best food ever.
They also, my friend noticed this, they get the best cities.
Yeah.
They get New York, they get LA, they get San Francisco. They kind of eventually, some things happen. They're not great in those cities, like citywide. But we're conservatives known for like the red states. And what's in the red states? Like it's cool, farms and stuff like that. Hardy people. Why are we talking about this? We're gonna get so many comments just for this.
Yeah.
Because we are in this world, but not from this world.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
You know what I don't like at all? I don't care what culture does it. The thing I hate most. The meal is done. You're done cooking. Andrew's going to be mad about this. You're done cooking. It's ready to eat. You know what I want to do now? I'm going to put a bunch of oil on top of it. Just throw it away. Throw it in the garbage. I don't want to touch it now. They do that with dolma. You don't need it. They do that with spaghetti and like Italian food. These are pretty good because it's not oil that they dipped it in. It's the juice thing. That's why it's red. But that's what
You mean like olive oil? Olive oil?
Yeah.
I think that's tasty.
It's not a freaking condiment, man. How's it tasty?
No, it has a taste to it. It has a particular taste.
I don't like it.
You're mad about German food. You're mad about oil.
I don't understand how he's mad. I'm mad, yes.
Teach us something in German.
German is declined, isn't it? It has declensions.
Yeah.
So if you want to say
The language?
the man and then of the man and to the man, it's a different form of the
I
word.
think he thinks you're talking about the language.
Yeah. I'm asking about the language.
No, no one's
it has-
speaking German anymore. German has declined.
Oh, no.
No.
No, the
Declensions.
grammar.
Yeah, the grammar. Isn't it declined?
It's,
Yeah.
with the articles. And then,
Oh, yeah, the articles are declined too. Your language, Greek, is declined.
Thank you so much. Well, it's been real.
Maybe the next time we sit to here, we'll have a new pope.
Yeah?
No,
No.
the time after that.
Yeah.
Okay, keep praying, everybody.
Yeah.
Pray for the next pope.
Pray for Pope Francis and for his successor.
Thank you, Father Roni.
Thank you, Father Roni.
Nice having you, Father.
God bless you all.
Thank you for who you are.
bro. Halil man, kick them in.
Yalla, end it. Let's go.